Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tequila Chats, our third episode. And I couldn't be happier to have you as a guest.
I'm so excited
Tiffani,
to do
this
this.
is amazing.
Thank you for thinking of me.
I know, we waited for a couple of weeks for you, but here you are. It's like the best time ever.
Thank you. I'm so happy to do this.
And so she needs no introduction. We know she is a rock star. Come on. You really don't need introduction. Tiffani Faison, it's a rock star. She is an incredible business person.
Let's do
amazing
this every day.
chef.
Yes.
But most important, let me tell you this. A lot of people don't know this. Most important thing about you, about Tiffani, is you are an incredible friend, a really, really loyal, generous friend. You are just a kind, darn person, which is so important in this world.
Thank you.
And so I could not be happier that we are going to be having this conversation.
I'm
and so
thrilled
thank
to do
you.
it with you.
Thank you.
I adore you, as you know.
No, thank you very much. And so as you know, it's called Tequila Chats because we got to drink some tequila. And I know this was
friends,
a gift.
it's like noon.
Yeah, it is noontime right now. So
Yeah.
we'll only have two. We won't have three. And so this is a gift from Guy Fieri, right? That's
Guy Fieri. Yep.
Fieri, yes, exactly.
Yes. So my other boss.
Yes, your boss. And so, can you tell us anything about the tequila?
Sure. Well, this is a Blanco. He has several different in his line. So it's a small batch tequila company. It's 100% agave azul. This is a Blanco, so it's just like a little bit. I'm not a huge smoky tequila person, so cleaner is better for me.
Okay, perfect. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
The bottle is really cool.
It's They just did a new, complete redesign on their bottles, and they're beautiful. The product is really nice.
I think I just gave myself a little bit more.
Please,
no, come on. I'm gonna leave you behind. And I love the little tenderoni glasses with the heart-shaped eyes.
We have little heart eyes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Let me see.
Okay. I'm so nervous. It's noon.
I like it.
It's really
nice.
smooth.
It's very crisp and
clean.
smooth. Yeah, it really is. I
It has
like
a
it.
cucumber finish to it.
Yes, it does. I'm going to put it on my repertoire of tequilas.
Do it.
Thank you, Guy, for them.
Thanks, Guy.
For the tequila. It's really delicious. So let's start this conversation.
Okay.
I mentioned to you.
Oh, the burn.
Is it really?
I mean, I'm just not,
I must be having troubles because I only feel the deliciousness.
It's delicious. It's not, it's my heartburn. I'm just getting older.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, it's not the tequila. It's
You're talking to the wrong person about aging right now.
Stop it. Aging, listen, I will say this. Aging is a gift. Not everyone gets it.
You're right.
So
a lot of people didn't make it this far. So cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
For real. So this conversation, it's about understanding what goes behind the scenes. We are all very good at putting out there the shiny stuff because success, creates, inspiration in all of us.
Sure.
But I do think that the real lessons, of course, are learned with the trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
And so this conversation really is about that. And in the past, I always say that our origin story, and we were talking about this earlier, our origin story really kind of defines who we are.
Absolutely.
And really defines how we engage with the world and the things that we do. And I'm about to feel like RuPaul. You know RuPaul in the Drag Race when she brings the contestants and she pulls out the picture.
100%.
I'm gonna be like, so Chef Tiffani, tell us about Little Tiff. No, but real.
I'll send you a picture actually of my first job cooking, and I'm covered in this little chef hat, covered in food. I didn't know how to keep myself clean. It was like a mess.
And so, your origin story. Where does Tiffani come from? Where does Chef Tiffani come from?
Chef Tiffani was kind of an accident, to be honest. So I was, I'm an Army kid. My father was in the military, so I was born in Germany, and we moved around constantly.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it was kind of it was Germany, Oklahoma, California, a little bit of Greece. We just kept moving and kind of kept in pretty much that triangle, Little Texas.
Yeah.
And so it was about adaptation all the time. It was constantly adapting and being brought out of an environment that you had just barely gotten comfortable, and then put into another environment all the time.
What brought comfort? Because in that change, certainly the outside environment of your friends, community shifted, but what brought comfort through all those changes?
That's so interesting because I don't think I would have known this had I not become a chef. And part of it was food and the idea of home. So my mother is Southern, and wherever we were, she would cook Southern foods. So fried chicken and collard greens, mashed potatoes. So that was always the touch point of being
That was a
home.
constant for you.
Yeah.
That's what always felt like home.
It was. That's what felt like home. So I think just my mom being in the kitchen, and she's an incredible cook. She's not she's, not classically trained. She's a really good cook. So always having that to come home to. And then she was always inviting other people into our home. Like I remember living in Germany as a kid, and we lived in this, they never lived on an army base. They never allowed us to live on a military base, which was such an incredible experience and a way to see the world and get to engage with other people.
In the actual community where you were.
100%.
Yes, you were part of it, yes.
Yeah, so we lived in this little farm town. Our landlords were the dairy farmers, like in the town. And so we would do like, taco night, and they would all come over for dinner. And it was like, just really modest, like ground beef and hard taco shells, but that's not something you get in like a farm town in Germany.
Yeah,
and so it was that exchange all the time. And then it was, Sunday lunch at their house with brown bread and lots of German meats and schnitzel. And just, it was that constant conversation around making each other comfortable with food.
I love that. This reminds me of a personal story around my grandmother. I think we've been friends now for so long. I think I think I met you first when you were at Roca with Michaela Larson and Gary Sullivan. I think that's where we first kind of
That was 2010.
That was a while ago. So.
And we were 21.
We were 21. We're still 21, depending on who you're asking. But I think we talked about this. I grew up with my maternal grandparents. And so my grandmother was a huge, huge influence. And I always tell this story. My grandmother would wake up every day at 5 o'clock in the morning, and she would shower, whatever, and she would go downstairs and she will open her front door. So 5:30 in the morning, the front door was open until 6, 7 o'clock at night. Always open. She never closed it. And every day, she would cook lunch. But she had these pots that were like this, almost like,
like a restaurant.
Yeah, like restaurant pots or military, like this gigantic. And I didn't realize until later that, we were poor. Like we had a lot of things, and there was a lot of plenty in many ways, but ultimately when you look at it, when you look at back, I realized that we didn't have resources. My grandmother figured out how to cook lunch every day for whomever wanted to stop at the house, right?
Unreal.
And so I remember coming back from school, and there will be friends, neighbors, strangers that got invited by somebody, and whether it was a rice soup or a neck soup, whatever it was, she had enough food. And it was such a beautiful memory for me, because I think that it informs my desire to be part of something bigger, to be part of the community. Certainly, I don't have the food gene or the interest in
we all do it in our own way.
Yeah.
No,
you're right about
to
that.
Be food.
But I mean, what informed for me that experience with my grandmother was just this desire to really be generous with the little things that I might have. And I think it's such a beautiful lesson. I love that story about your mom.
It's how we create community. It's interesting, like even when you take it out of like in any other context, the idea of like even in like traditional churches, tithing, right? Like giving 10% of what you have, even if you don't have a lot, the idea is that it will come back to you tenfold. And I think we find that over and over in our lives. And for those of us, me, who don't like just subscribe to like organized religion, I still do believe however much you have or don't have, like we give back. Restaurants do it all the time. Even restaurants that aren't like killing it all the time. We're constantly bringing things to our community and taking care of our community.
And you really are tremendously generous. Like we know that you give a lot back. And earlier we were just talking about some initiative you've been doing now for 10 years with the Hope House, right?
Yeah, I don't talk about it a lot.
No, but it's important for people to know how.
Yeah, but I think yes and no. I think there's an altruism that's really important about the doing it for the doing it and for the giving that it and what it can mean to someone else. There are people that I see hide behind their like good deeds, where it's like, I actually know that you're, not a pillar in the community who's doing great things, but you like your outward kind of shininess is like, look at all these organizations I belong to, which can go either way. And that's, the good is still done, like even if the intent isn't great, but that's always been really important to me and as a lesson to my team and, the people that we work with around understanding why we do it, that it's not just, we're not doing it to just do it for whatever, for the recognition, but we're doing it because it makes actually a difference in the community. Exactly.
Yeah, I feel that way in my business in real estate. I always feel that if the community is not okay, there are, of course, humanitarian reasons why I want to make sure that the community is okay, but also I want to make sure the community is okay because my business is based on that community thriving and that community doing well.
It's a constant wheel of like, we don't exist without them.
Yes, exactly.
And we all contribute to a greater sense of like who we are as the queer community, who we are as Bostonians, who we are as, Americans and in world citizens. It's all really important.
But let me go back to the conversation around your mom. So, Sweet Cheeks.
Yes.
Is that a homage to your mom?
It is in some ways. When I first moved here, I lived in Davis Square, and when I would get homesick, I was looking for that sort of food. One of my favorite vegetable in the world is okra. Yeah. And I was looking for some like fried okra, and I went to a restaurant in the area that had fried okra, and it was just like frozen pellets of fried okra, and I became more homesick than I was.
Yeah.
And so, I started cooking, and I wasn't even cooking then. So I started cooking, moved out of Boston, came back, and there just wasn't this place where you could go and there was no barbecue in Boston proper, believe it or not.
No, you're absolutely right.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I can taste what someone's cooking and know where their center point is. Like, have you experienced this food? Do you know it? Do you feel it in your soul? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in some ways it is an homage to my mom, but it's, yeah.
And are those biscuits your mom's recipe?
No, they're mine. Sorry.
Is it really? I love.
Sorry, Mom.
Weren't they called by like Forbes like the best biscuits in the world or something
Forbes
like that?
named us the best biscuits
Well, they were
in the
right.
world.
Yeah.
Which
Forbes
is
was
insane because like once it's lovely, but you get something like that and it freaked me out. I was like, well, how can we? No one should ever be the best at anything in the world. And
you are. We'll take to that.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
We'll
cheers to those biscuits.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are tenderonis right now. Sweet Chicks is right next door. I might stop by and get some biscuits.
Please do. And also the pizza window is now open at Tenderoni's. So we have calzones, salads, burgers, all kinds of fun things that we sell.
But I tell you, Michael is obsessed with your pizza. He will have it for breakfast, right, Michael? He's right now most likely he's scavenging in your kitchen.
He's left us. He's in the window right now.
He's going there like, Tiffani said you have to make me a pizza.
We'll send you a pizza. You know that's happening.
So let's talk about your business. Again, we are very familiar with your success. You've done it all.
Oh.
Now you have a very successful restaurant group. You are personally very accomplished chef. And you have, all your nominations for James Beard. You have all
nominations, no wins.
No, but listen, are you kidding me? You know how many? Well, come on.
Yeah, no.
You know how many people are like, for real.
Yeah.
No, but it's just an incredible accomplishment in itself. We know that, but you also have all of your incredible history around television, and you've done it all. Winning the Tournament of Champions.
Thank you.
And you have your Top Chef as your like an entry point into that. You have now, or you've been now for many years,
regular
one
judge
of the
Chopped.
judges at Chops. You are really part of that Food Network universe. You are an integral part of that, an important part of that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate.
No. But you've earned it. You've worked very hard for that.
Thank you.
What has that meant for your business development? And the question is two-pronged. What has that provided in terms of, has it provided any advantages, and has it provided any challenges?
Sure.
I'm just curious about that. Right?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything in life that doesn't give you something that when it gives you something incredible that you're gonna sort of pay a price for it in some ways. It's how you mitigate like how that manifests. So yes, exposure is always really incredible for the restaurants. When people come to Boston, they are drawn to the restaurants and to see like what it is that I'm doing, and they're interested in the restaurants. And we say all the time in this company, we can get them in. Our job is people will come. Our job is to keep them coming back. Yeah. So we don't take that for granted. It's really important that like we recognize and appreciate that interest in coming in. That yes, more exposure does provide. But it's our job to keep them coming back and make people happy and make them feel good and make sure they have an incredible experience.
Yeah.
The other side of it is, I think there are some things that are anecdotal and kind of funny to me. Like I find a lot that people come into the restaurants and behave like judges on a television show kind of thing. Like that there's almost this like inherent invitation for people to do that, which that's fine. If that's how you have a good time, mazel. Yeah. I really want people to come in and just have a good time. But if that's the challenge you want to provide for us, like we're up to the
Do you think that's a byproduct of social media? I feel like with social media, we've all become critics of absolutely everything.
And everyone has an opinion on everything. Yeah. So it's a confluence of things. I think there's a culture of food TV that has existed, and there's so much competition, and so there's judges saying this is good or this is not good. So I think that has happened, and I think that's met with social media, and for sure, like it's invited a community of critics around everything.
Yeah, that
which is
conversation.
Good and bad. That has its ups and downs.
So. Well, I think it is good if it's not ill intended. I think the issue sometimes with social media, as we all discover, is that there's a lot of ill intention in there. And that makes the difference, right?
It does. And we have to be really careful about, it's interesting. I've really, it's been a lesson for me, for people coming into the restaurants, where I know that they're, sometimes it's a little bit cattier. It can be. For the most part, it's always really well intended.
Yeah.
But the negative part of it has reminded me to stay out of conversations that I don't have advocacy in. Does that make sense?
Yes, no, it does.
Like,
it does.
I'm not out talking about how Boston Public Schools should be run. I don't have children.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah.
So,
absolutely. I know what you're saying. So I have a question. Just very curious about the name of your company, because obviously naming a company is a very specific choice, and you could be called, Tiffani's Restaurant Group, but you have a very specific name.
Yeah.
Big Heart Hospitality.
Right.
What does Big Heart mean to you, and why do you name your company Big Heart? I think there's something cool about it.
It's what we want to create, right? We want community. We want people to feel at home in our restaurants. We want them to feel like the spaces belong to them. So in order to do that, it's really important for us to wear our hearts on our sleeves. With the combination of being good at our jobs, right?
Yes.
Like, one of the things we talk about, we're obviously a very queer company. We're a very open company.
Yeah.
We're a company that really wants to create a space where everyone feels welcome. That includes the people that work here.
Yeah.
And we can't welcome people and allow them to be who they are if we're not who we are. We can't be who we are if we don't know our jobs really well. Like, there's nothing worse than walking up to a table as a server or being a cook and waiting for someone to ask you a question you don't know. You can't be fully yourself.
So could I say that, like, belonging, like the word belong or belonging, is at the core of what you do? Is it in your ethos?
Absolutely. Yeah. And vulnerability, I think, is really important. That idea of having a big heart. And we, it's, again, good and bad, right?
Yeah.
Like, there are things that I think the perception sometimes with my company is that we're puppies and unicorns and rainbows, and it's not really work. And we figured out a way to do it that's easier, and it doesn't require the same level of stress and commitment. That's not true. Right? So,
but as a company that has put such emphasis on inclusiveness of all sorts, a company that really has in its leadership primarily, an entire group of really, really talented women in particular. Have you found that to be challenging as you grow your business? Because I'm only asking this because, I have a lot of friends that are in that food industry.
Yeah.
And as a third party kind of like observer, sometimes your industry comes across as a very kind of like male dominated in many ways. How does that, how does your purpose, this ethos, this mission that you have of building, a business that is inclusive and diverse and welcoming, how does that work with a culture that maybe is perceived as male dominated?
It's definitely perceived as male dominated. And I think in some ways, again, the good and bad, everything is a push and a pull. We don't have people, I don't think, that are applying to our company blind, right? Like, we tend to attract like things. So we attract people that want that same environment, and that environment of inclusiveness and vulnerability and kindness is important to them. We have a no assholes rule here, frankly. And it's not even like the rule needs to exist because they weed themselves out so quickly when they come in. So that's not to say we're perfect. Like, we have our stuff. And it's constantly having the conversations about what's acceptable and what's not. So, the challenges around it are no more than they are in the restaurant industry. So what we do is remove the BS from it. We remove, like, the conversations around, or the toxicity. And it's not to say, like, again, there are times things get heated or they get difficult.
It's life.
It's life. But it's not, it's very rarely because of who someone is. It's because of typically a misstep or someone misunderstood something that was happening. It's important to just understand it, talk about it. Take some time out, let people cool off.
Have empathy on that as well, just figuring out where they're coming from.
100%. Because we find this a lot, and it's, if someone makes a mistake and you immediately take it out and like, what did you do? And it doesn't create any space for the person that made a mistake, or maybe it was intentional and there's a learning moment, and there's an opportunity to come to an understanding with, the person that for whom it was done unto and the person that did it. And if you don't create that space, like, it's just as toxic as allowing all the bad stuff to fly.
Let me ask you this. So in where we are right now, kind of like this general political climate, where particularly queer people and in particular transgender people. Again, we literally having fights over drag queens, over performance art, right?
It's unbelievable.
But you found to really be that part of the core of who you are and who your business is. And at the same time, you're thriving. Your restaurants are popular. People love your food. How do you think you'll be able to accomplish that? Kind of like creating this very precious space within a narrative, but maybe it's not so positive or so friendly.
Yeah, I mean, the world is wild. I think a lot of there are people that believe that we shouldn't exist. Yeah. That's for sure, right? But I think that population is so minimal. Mm-hmm. I think the rest of what we're seeing in the world is really I think it's political theater. Yeah. Of it's a ruse. I think there's so many people that don't, if you take apart the issues, they have no issues with our lives necessarily. Yeah. So, I mean, as a woman I'm a queer woman, it's not an option for me to hide ever. My partner is trans. Yeah. It's I don't know. The idea is around it, for me, create something so great that everyone enjoys it and we just happen to be queer in the process. Yes. And I think that's the greater invitation to understanding our community. Yeah. Yes, I'm a huge part of the queer community and a proponent for the queer community and advocate, but being queer is not the best thing I do. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It totally does, yes. Yeah. It's just a part of it, right?
It's a part of it,
yes.
Yeah.
And it's
a big part.
You cannot escape. It's you. It's who you are.
Don't try and escape it. Exactly.
You're define yourself by that, we all do.
Correct.
About our identities, but ultimately, what we bring to the world is our contribution to it.
100%.
That's a part of that, but we are contributing more than that.
Yes. Here, I have to be, the best thing I do is being a chef and a mentor and a manager, right? Yes. So that's really important, and queer comes second.
Yeah. No, that's
great. I don't know, whatever.
Whatever it lands, it's there.
Yes. But it's totally all around us.
Yeah. I love that. I totally love that. No, I totally.
That we know people for whom, and no shade, no tea, but being gay is the best thing you do. It's there's more to give to the world.
Yeah, but there is a place for everybody. Yes. Yeah, that's the thing about it.
There are people that have changed the world doing that.
Yes. Absolutely. Oh no, but by the way, there are a lot of people that we owe a lot to because of that specific position.
Yes.
But there is a place to be in whatever spectrum you are.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but I think that I think what we come to, at least this way that I'm perceiving it nowadays, just being and existing is taking again a very kind of political undertone.
It's dangerous in some areas, in some places right now.
It's really unnerving, I think is the word in some ways, right?
It's unnerving, it's scary, and I think, it's interesting because there was a time in the queer community that we had a hard time fundraising because people felt like we were there. Yeah. Gay marriage was all set. We were in a place where everything felt safer. We just kind of thought, we've done it.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
And the focus really went to other countries that were less safe. And now the floor fell out from underneath us. And not just us, but this idea of consistent safety, unfortunately, is just not a reality that we exist in anymore.
Yeah. So now I'm going to change the topic.
Okay, great.
To real estate.
Yes.
Because I love our real estate experience.
Yes.
I love working with you, finding your home. I was
so afraid of being the world's biggest pain in the ass.
No, you weren't.
I ended up moving to exactly what I told you I didn't want. Do you remember that?
I feel like I was the biggest pain in the ass. I'm I don't know about this, Tiffani. I'm really doing my whole thing. Providing
you
value.
You were so nice in every space that we looked at. I was I think Ricardo likes this space more than I do. I don't know. And then we get in the car and you're I don't know if this is for you. And I was okay.
Too funny.
But I was very specific. I was not too many stairs.
Yes.
Do you know how many stairs are in my house?
How many? Do you
my God, I don't even know. So all the ones on the brownstone all the way up, you get to the first level and then there's another level.
But do you count them?
No, because there are too many, I'll die. I'll cry.
Oh, I was going to say, yes, I know how many. I went up there, yes.
Cry. Yeah.
And you sent me those photos of the renovation.
Yes. Yeah. So the top floor is done now. And I need to pull the trigger on the first floor, which is kitchen, living room, and an office.
It's a great spot.
It's very cool.
It really is a great spot.
I've fallen in love with my neighborhood. It's right across from the park. There's a dog
the beach is there. If you want to go to to the local businesses, they're right there.
Yeah. It's great. And you were so fabulous helping me out with
it.
No. No, it was amazing.
And who's in love with you? Joe.
I love Joe.
Yeah, Joe is
and he's got his little Southie place as well.
Yeah, he does.
Is he done with it?
Yeah, he just got done. Right, Bethany? He's done? Yes.
Now we're just in
he's
baseball.
Totally done.
But one of the things, and I'm going to steal this for a second, that was so incredible about what you did was we talked about the things that I was looking for. And one of our first trips out was seeing so many different places. Like I remember that property that we saw in the North End.
Yes.
And it was interesting. It was just like, I really had to go home and think about what I wanted at the core of it. And it was, for me, it's always very space oriented. It's like, I'm going to walk in and kind of know. But it really forced this conversation around what are the things I thought there were things that were important to me. And it really kind of forced me to understand what I was really looking for.
Yeah, there is like the motto in my business since day one has been that real estate is more than square footage. It's about how you live.
Yes.
And so my job is really on the buyer, let's say if I'm representing somebody as a buyer, is understanding their lives and what is important to them about their lives. Because you could buy a home, the price doesn't matter. You could spend $200,000 or $200 million, it doesn't matter. If that place doesn't make you happy, then it's the wrong place for you. It really doesn't matter.
Right, it doesn't hit as home.
Yeah, so understanding what makes you happy is my job.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing on the listing side. I gotta look at a home and be like, okay, who is this home gonna make happy? Because then we target or marketing towards that person that is the person that's going to be the happiest at it.
But you were also very patient. Like there were things that we went and looked at that you were like, girl, I know. Like you never said it, but you were like, in hindsight, I'm like, we were out in the burbs and you're like, like you were very kind and very engaged.
I was like, this place is not for you. Yeah.
And so it's interesting, like even going back and thinking about the space now and how happy I am in it, there are things that we had talked about where I said like a great bathroom is important to me, a great kitchen is important to me. Like I basically want a hotel suite with a kitchen. And my upstairs is now a hotel suite.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a great spot. The ceiling height up is just
cool.
amazing.
Yeah.
You guys are going to have a fantastic life.
Once the kitchen is done, you guys are coming over.
Well, we're doing a little housewarming party. You haven't done a housewarming party?
No.
Okay, I was going to be like,
please, are you kidding? I would never have not
cheers to your new home.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you.
And so I know you have more important things to do, so I want to let you go. Yeah, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But my last question to you is this, and feel free to be as generous as you want to be. In your experience, in your opinion, what is the key to success?
It's so interesting. I think it's different for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I don't think there's a formula in it.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I think it's kind of constantly evolving. I think it's constantly being honest with yourself about where you're at, what you want. You can't chase something you don't want.
Yeah.
And it changes as you get older and as you mature and as you grow.
Yeah.
And I think it's just really important to understand what it is that you want personally and also professionally, not what other people want for you.
Yeah.
Not like whatever wheel you're chasing because you think you should be chasing it. Like, you can become fabulously wealthy doing that and be hollow, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think success really is defined in like the happiness of the core of what you do. And is it rewarding? Does it provide what you want in your life?
So the key to success is happiness.
Is making it personal, is really like being honest with yourself.
Yeah. You said earlier that you were an accidental chef.
Yeah.
Explain this to me. Because I have the same thing with real estate. Actually, there is a little video that we released today on social media, and I said, I am an accidental real estate agent, but it was love at first sight.
Yeah.
Like, I found it immediately.
Like
I was like, oh my God, this is home.
Same.
I didn't know.
Same, fit like a glove.
Yeah.
And I think that is the key to success, right? When something fits. And that key of like understanding that this is home, listen to that. We both work in industries that have easier barriers to entry for people. There's not like specific educational requirements that have to be met, timelines that have to be met. You can come in, work really hard, be smart, say what's next, and build a life for yourself.
And give it your own. I think that's most important. You have to be real in that sense and give it that flavor for,
Exactly. So I ended up just randomly, I'd been in restaurants since I was 14, moved here, it was right after September 11th, and I was working as like the expediter and watching the kitchen and just said, I would love to learn that, and begged to do it for 2 months.
Yeah.
This is not a story where like I was amazing. I was awful, like spinning around, burning everything, like nearly chopping my fingers off. But the competitive nature of me was not going to let all these young men that were running around, running circles around me, frankly, win.
Yeah.
So
well,
tenacity as well.
Yeah. Well, you've done it.
Thank you. It doesn't feel like that. Do you feel like that?
Well, it never does.
Because you're the same.
It never does because there is
success.
for the people.
Yes.
And how what you do inspires other people to do it and do it better. Like to me, that has really been the gift.
What I'm hearing is authenticity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like letting people see the realness of what it is and the success of it, and then giving that gift.
And then showing to people that, listen, if I can make $2 in real estate, so can you.
Not everyone.
Well,
There's
but you know what I
inherent
mean.
talent.
No.
Like, but I've never seen anyone work harder than you are. Like, you are the benchmark of success for me. Like, when I...
Oh, you're too kind.
No, I'm serious. Like, there are times when I get tired and I get whatever. I feel, like, drained. And there are people that I look at and I think they've built it. They continue to work harder at it. Like, get up and go. You know what I mean? Like, when I need a pep talk, you're one of those people I think about.
You're sweet. Thank you very much.
I'm serious.
Yeah, and I'm, same thing. I'm so inspired by what you do because you do it with full heart, with your big heart. Yeah, it really does. You do it with big heart.
Thank you.
And so, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This has been
so fun.
An incredible conversation. It's really fun conversation. I love you to death. Thank you for doing this. Okay. I got to steal a kiss from you.
Yes.
There you go.
I adore you. I adore you. Love you so much.
And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you very much for watching, and
bye, guys.
Salute, my love.
Salute. Cheers.
Salute. Cheers. And thank you, guys.
Thanks. Thanks, boss.